I have outlined the worksheet for you so that you understand what we choose. We first look at the vertical shift. Which number up here indicates the vertical shift? D. So if we have y is equal to a times the sine of bx minus c plus d, d is the vertical shift. And so what is the vertical shift? It is 1 unit. What is the amplitude? The absolute value of the number in front of sine, so it will be 2. Here's what people got confused with last year, is where to mark the max and the min. If the vertical shift is 1, I go from there up to and down to. So if I go up to, what's my highest point? 3. If I go down to, then my lowest spot is -1. And I draw that axis for the rotation because I'm shifted up 1 unit. So out of the 4 boxes, we are halfway there. Any question how I outlined that so far? Okay, now I'm going to identify the period. For the period, I take 2 pi, and I divide it by the number in front of x. The number in front of x is 1. So I get 2 pi. Why do I divide it into 4 parts? Tito's on the ball today. A little angry about not getting that full B lunchtime. I would be too. I'd be lunch too. It got cut short. I was angry. I did. Said I'm not showing up on time. It's garbage. All right. Is there a horizontal shift? The horizontal shift I find by setting this equal to 0. X minus pi over 4 is equal to 0. If you solve it, what do you get? Pi over 4. There is a horizontal shift. So my recommendation to you is to first sketch a ghost graph. I'll sketch the graph without the horizontal shift. You take this inside piece, the piece that's in parentheses, you set it equal to 0 and you solve. So if you add pi over 4 to both sides, you get x is equal to pi over 4. That is correct. My graph is sine. Does sine start at the max, min, or middle? Middle. Will it start by going up or down? Up, because it's positive. That's not my actual graph. That's the ghost graph. That's what it would look like if it wasn't shifted over pi over 4 units. But it is shifted pi over 4. And because pi over 4 is positive, it will be shifted to the right. How much of a tick mark is pi over 4? Is it a full tick mark? Is it 2 tick marks? Is it a half a tick mark? How much is it? It's half of a tick mark. Pi over 4 would be half of pi over 2. So I'll take all these dots and I'll move them half of a tick mark to the right. So the red graph is my actual graph. What do you think? Not too bad, huh? We'll do one more together, and I'll let you guys start to work. You'll have a lot of work time today. Example number 2. Vertical shift. -2. Amplitude. 2. Amplitude is always positive. We always say it's positive, okay? Even if you have negative, you just absolute value, make it positive. So if my vertical shift is -2 and I go up to, what's my maximum height? 0. If I am at -2 and I go down 2, then my minimum height will be -4. So I have 0 and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And my vertical shift is -2 units. So I draw that axis right through the middle. Any question how I get that far? See a couple angry looks on faces. Okay. All right, so the period, I take 2 pi, I divide it by what? 3. You can't simplify that at all, can you? Okay, so we'll divide that up. I have 2 pi over 3. And I divide it into 4 parts. It's easiest just to divide it in half. 2 pi over 3 divided in half, or multiplied by 1/2, will give you what? Pi over 3. Does that make sense? That half of 2 pi over 3 is 1 pi over 3. Then let's take pi over 3 and divide that in half. Pi over 6. Now we still need this one right here. Let's count together. What are we going to say? Okay, 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, which is, what's 3 pi over 6? Pi over 2. So far I've given you pretty easy tick marks. That one's a little bit more complicated. Pi over 6, pi over 3, pi over 2, and then 2 pi over 3. So okay, that's good. So I divide up my period. Is there a horizontal shift? Yes, there is. I have to take the inside and set it equal to. So I get 3x is equal to negative pi. So x is equal to negative pi over 3. Right? When we solve the inside equal to 0, we get negative pi over 3. So will it shift to the right or to the left? Left. How much is pi over 3? 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, 3 tick marks? How much is pi over 3? It's 2 tick marks. So we'll shift everything 2 tick marks. First, let's make a ghost graph. Where is this going to start? Max, min, or middle? It's cosine, so it starts at the max or min. Which one's it going to be? Minimum because it's negative. Where do I go from there? Up and up, down and down. How many tick marks do I move it? 2 to the left. So I'll start with this one right here. 1, 2. This one, 1, 2. This one, 1, 2. I'll bring it back up. Don't worry. Come on. Okay, some of you are looking at this and you're maybe asking yourself, how accurate of a graph really is that? I'm just going to take a minute here and show you how accurate that graph really is. As I turn on my calculator, I go into y equals, I clear it out, and I type in -2 cosine of 3x plus pi parentheses minus 2. And I am working in radians, as you can see here. And I go to my window, and the maximum x value is going to be 2 pi over 3, or just about pi. The minimum, or I'm sorry, the minimum value would be negative pi. The max value is about positive pi. The scale, it looks like I have a tick mark every pi over 6. And it looks like my y minimum is -4. I'll show to -5 just so we can see a little bit more. My y max I'll put to +5. It looks like I have a tick mark every 1. And again, I want you to just appreciate that. It's like, how accurate is our graph? And note that it's the red graph that we want to see. So watch how I think this is awesome. Because your calculator could do this, but we were able to do it as well. That's not right, is it? We wanted the red graph. What happened? What did it do? Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I showed more off to the end. Yeah. I mean, to me that's pretty cool that we're that accurate. It took us about 3 minutes. It's pretty much spot on. So we can graph very complex equations in really a pretty efficient, timely manner. I mean, you had no idea. You guys had no idea what that looked like coming in this class. First time I put that on the board, you're like, there's no way I can do that. It's being the highest scoring test of the year. Rest of the time is yours. Your worksheet. I'll post the answers on the board.